Greetings from a very, very happy gal in Kansas City. This is Renee Benson at AV Renee KC, and you are listening to and watching the AV Live.
Hello, you are joining us for the AV Life. My name is Murphy Daly, and I am in Los Angeles. I have been part of the AV Life and AV in general for a long time. I'm a writer for Rave Pubs and a director of project management for AEG Presents. And you are joining us. You can hear it, you can listen, you can see it on the AV Life.
James King here, writer for Higher Digital Magazine, the IT and AV column, HETMA board member. Again, Google me, you'll find me, and you are watching and listening to the AV Life.
And I'm your host, Tim Van Wert from Rutgers University, HETMA board member, contributor to higheredav.com, just because that's what I do here on the AV Life. You can find us at higheredav.com or theavlife.com, as it is now out there for us. You can find us on all the socials and on YouTube, and you are watching and listening to us on the AV Life. All right, so we are here, we're back. We have some great guests with us tonight. The folks from HETMA, which obviously, as I stated, I'm part of. So I'm a little I'm fulfilling a dual role here tonight. And so is James. And we're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming HETMA conference that we are 5 years now. This is our fifth virtual. We were virtual before it was cool. That's the way we always have put it. So, but we'll a little bit more about that as we get to there. Crew, how are we doing tonight?
Good.
Wonderful.
All right.
I'm
Murphy?
flying high. I'm flying
Yeah,
high
good.
and may get to address it a little bit in the PM minute.
Cool. Renee, I could ask you how you're doing, but I think I know the answer to that question.
Yeah, I'm doing wonderful. We've had a great few days in Kansas City, or a few weeks, I should say, but I was able to go enjoy the festivities yesterday downtown with the parade, and we saved some spots for our grandkids, and Travis Kelce shook their hands, so that was super cool, and really emotional day. It was just super cool to see this young team, how it brought the city together and brought everybody together, and just to see families piled up and down the streets just being happy. It was just really nice to see. And then
Yeah,
David, like an ice storm, so I'm glad yesterday was nice.
Yeah, that's kind of what we've been going through here at Jersey, so but before we go any further into this, let's bring our guests in, because I'm sure they may have something to chime in about here. You know what, I'm gonna start with our returning, this is 2 weeks in a row now, guest, Mr. Ryan Gray. How you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you?
Well, I'm doing peachy keen, and welcome back again. I don't think we've had a guest who has gone 2 weeks in a row. I think you're in uncharted territory. You better be careful. You may end up a crew member. That's how it's. This is how it starts. Yes.
All right. It's a slippery slope. I better be aware. It's a
slippery slope. That's how it happened to me. I was invited a couple of times, and then Corey kind of said, "Hey, you should keep coming back." And I'm like, okay. And look at where I am now. I'm hosting. So
yeah.
This could be you someday, Ryan.
I don't think I keep coming back, but I don't. They don't ever make it to air, so I don't know.
They're
something's wrong.
By the time people hear this one, they would have heard ours from last week. So yes. So yeah, I know.
I kind of was like 3, 2, 1 on the countdown until Ryan says something.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's all right.
Always.
I deserve it. So I get it.
That's not true.
I'm kind of going in. I have my own little mental order on this. Mr. Troy Powers, how are you, Troy?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, how are things up at Northwestern?
Cold and icy today.
Okay.
But other than that, going well.
Good. Oh, hey Ryan, how do you pronounce your college? How do you pronounce your college again?
Yavapai College in beautiful northern Arizona. Yavapai.
Yavapai.
There you go.
There it is. Yes, that's for everyone out there, including Nancy, who's not with us tonight. But just Yavapai.
Everybody should know by now exactly how to say his
Yes,
university.
exactly. And when you find us at Infocom, there'll be a test. So I may just point to you randomly and say, "What's Ryan's university name?"
I was gonna say it feels like that should be a trivia question at this point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Point now.
Exactly.
What is the correct pronunciation of Ryan Gray's university? Because that's what it is. It's really yours, ultimately.
But in more ways than one, but that's a
There
whole
you
other
go.
story.
And last but certainly not least, could I call you the godfather of HETMA at this point?
Yes.
I don't know about that.
Because, well, you know
That
what?
is definitely the title.
BC, I think when you were still at like co-founder and
Mhm.
co-president or vice chair, I feel like that was an official title there. But now you've kind of moved into that emeritus status,
Yes.
and
yes.
I think that qualifies you now as the godfather.
all
I
of the
think-
privilege, little of the work. I kind of
Exactly.
that's my overall goal in life. So
I don't know.
really.
You seem to be working hard for HETMA for someone who's not supposed to be doing any work.
I know.
now.
I think I'm doing more work now than I did back when I was vice chair. So
Be careful what you ask for, it's
yeah, I don't know. That's
or
story
you
of my
try to
life.
step
as
away
the song
from.
goes.
Well,
The
we're
real
glad
story-
that
Let's say BC's putting in danger because he's trying to make himself the most known person in AV, but you keep showing up on podcasts and you're not going to be able to be unknown anymore.
I know I've really got to focus harder on like dropping off the face of the planet till at least Infocom. So this after the conference next week, that'll be my last appearance for a while, and then I'll just kind of fade off into the background.
Don't let him do it.
and then all of a sudden June's gonna go around and we're gonna be like, oh, there's BC. It's like, oh, did BC see his shadow? Okay, 6 months until the
Yeah,
next
6 months till you
sighting.
see me again. So I'll just do my famous and best Irish goodbye, and then that'll be it.
It's funny.
All right, well, welcome to all of you.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks, guys.
We're very happy to have you all here. Murphy, what do you got for us for this PM minute? You let us off and you got us wanting it now. So
Teased it.
what is it?
Teased it. Okay. I've said this before on another PM minute or a few. If you want to have projects work well, you got to have systems, right? And so just this week, my team, utilizing our systems, our fresh new systems, did with our same little skinny team 2 successful deployments at the exact same time in 2 distant away mission projects because of the systems. They both landed standing up perfect, and it was like beautiful. So I'm happy about that. Our systems are working, and that's what it takes to get the projects going, to get the teams. It was not a big tussle. It was just everybody knew exactly what to do and everybody did it. And of course there were little issues. They were quickly resolved. So that happened, and I'm happy about it.
I was gonna say systems are lifesavers.
Mm-hmm.
And a great CYA device.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have that and saying, this is how we do things. Do it.
Yep. And it just beautiful.
Mm-hmm. You know what? And it makes things like onboarding a lot easier too. Like if you need to replace somebody or like whatever it might be, like somebody moves on to another position and you have to fill in that role. You have, okay, here's what your predecessor was doing. It's all written out, ready for you to go. And if that person's qualified, they could step in without issue.
And they know exactly how to communicate with the team and what the team is expecting to hear. Not like, oh, well, we did it this way. And for our thing, the triangle meant this, but only if it was purple. No. It's understood
Triangle
that
man,
it's
triangle
systems.
man.
Oh boy, yeah.
Sorry, they might be giants came on the rotation in my car the other day, so it's been all playing through my head.
I did have to sing a refrain of "They'll Need a Crane." That came up the other day.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, I mean, so anybody else want to chime in? Excuse me, about systems?
You guys have systems? Do you need systems? You need them. Everybody's looking the other way. Are you feeling
All
ashamed?
right.
Do you need
So
some
wait,
help?
so that this brings up an interesting thing. Do not have systems in place? I'll admit I don't have as probably many systems in place as I should at Rutgers. You know, we do. There's a lot of things that are unwritten documentation. That's the best way of putting it. We do things a certain way, but nothing's like written down. So is
A lot
that
of
kind of a fair?
a lot of institutional knowledge there that's not been reported.
Mhm.
Yeah,
No, I think
we've
that's
run
a-
into the same thing.
Is that just a general higher ed thing?
I think it's just general higher ed.
Yeah.
I think
No,
it's
we have a
bigger than
huge
higher
problem
ed.
with that. And
Yeah.
it's hard to get people out of the paradigm that like documentation and process is important as you knowing what to do isn't enough. Everybody has to know what to do. And
Mhm.
if that hasn't been the culture of a department, it's hard to
Mhm.
turn the
Mhm.
culture that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. Oh, go ahead.
Where I came from was kind of ITIL based, and we were a lot more rigid. You know, everything wasn't written down, but you know, we had a lot more processes written down. But it's a lot more kind of, you know, we're in the process of building a new ITSM tool out and kind of building our own workflows and things and trying to get things written down. But it's hard. I mean, and a lot of that is time, right? When do you find the time to go back and write things down when the next day you got the same calls happening and everything. So just when can you?
Yeah, that's
So-
you nailed it right there, man. It just trying to find time in between doing projects and supporting all of the things and keeping up with training. That's the biggest struggle, because I mean it goes, like you said, Murphy's goes back to systems. We have the systems. It's just finding the time to use them to increase our efficiency, when sometimes we just get stuck with, hey, this is the way I've always done it. It's just faster. Well, it might be a little bit faster, but you're not going to be here forever.
Mhm.
Change
So-
freaks people out.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
That's why I got to finish putting this manuscript to print, so you guys can all get a copy of my AV project management handbook, soon to be available.
So
Yeah,
We
I,
are waiting
I'm
with
fortunate-
I
anticipation.
know.
Go ahead, James.
I'm fortunate that my team is a brand new team. I mean,
Mm.
I was the first one hired for the AV for the School of Medicine in April. I have 2 members who joined my team in July. So we're building those systems as we're going. As
Yeah.
I did tell them, we're building the boat as we're going. And the thing is, I understand what you're saying, BC, and Troy, like, who has time? Trust me, I've been there. I've done that too. But then also you look at it this way. If you don't have time to document and do it, do you really have the time to do it twice?
Point. And there's also something really cool about being able to greenfield your own team, like
Yeah,
starting from
for
scratch.
sure.
That's fantastic, because you don't have bad habits to break, or the dreaded, this is the way we've always done it. So that's a
we don't.
tremendous opportunity.
Yeah, we don't have the monkey pit situation.
Mm.
You guys know that one, right?
It sounds fun, but no.
So
That what you
I-
do with when you hold the people above and that's crowd surfing.
Monkey
sorry.
bars.
that kind of-
Wait.
So the monkey pit, it's a story my brother told me. So my brother is in the army, and I asked him one day, it's like, why is it policy that the military, you can only wear dark glasses, solid color sunglasses? You can't have like different colors and stuff. And his response to that, instead of answering my question, was he told me this story called the monkey pit. So there was the zoo that had a monkey pit, and they had zookeepers. They were bored. So they decided to do a experiment, and they put a ladder in the middle of the monkey pit. And on top of the ladder, they put a bunch of bananas. Then the monkey would try to climb the ladder for the bananas. So the zookeeper would spray all the monkeys with a fire hose. And it got to a point where if any monkey went to the ladder, the other ones would pull them down, beat them up. Then got to a point where none of the monkeys would go to the ladder. So what they started to do is they started one by one swapping out monkeys. So putting brand new monkeys in and pulling old ones out. And anytime a new monkey went to the ladder, the other ones would pull them down and beat them up. Finally, they got to a point where it was all brand new monkeys in the pit who have never been sprayed with water, but they all knew somehow you don't go to the ladder or you get beat up. So no one went to the ladder.
And this
That
has
was
to
the
do
answer I
with
got
sunglasses?
about sunglasses, yes. But it's basically saying a lot of times you don't know why you're doing something. You just, because that's how they did it before. And I used to hear that all the time. I used to hear on the East Coast, oh, well, we did it this way and it works. I was like, great. Doesn't mean you're doing it the right way or the best way.
Right.
Right.
True story.
Very good.
All right.
And wouldn't it
Well,
be great if those monkeys were able to actually capture something that made their lives better? Like, oh, humans, we're supposed to actually learn stuff in, maybe educational establishments where that you guys support. If we were able to like get a habit, like, writing stuff down, that helps.
So yeah, the message I sent to my team was, if you did something, I'm sure it's not going to be the first time and it won't be the last time. So if there's no documentation, create documentation. And so that's what we're working on.
Well, there you go. It's funny. I actually was having a conversation with my boss about that today, is that we're kind of trying to not reinvent, but we're trying to really nail down processes and things like that. And he created some forms, but not everybody's following along with them. And, so it's redesigning that culture. So,
and breaking
and
the,
it's,
but changing a culture it's almost impossible. I mean, just
there's been a lot of there's been resistance, and there's been some butting of heads that
I mean, I think I think changing culture is difficult, but I think in higher education it might be even a tougher lift, because I think you see a lot of longevity in higher institutions, meaning people just stay in their roles or stay in that environment for a long time.
It's
So
terrifying.
yeah, it just kind of gets ingrained in who they are as, well, this is the way I've always done it, or things around here are never going to improve. I mean, I remember we went through, I guess 7 or 8 years ago when VUIT was formed. One of the questions asked of the new CIO was like, well, what makes you think this is going to work? We've tried this before. It was just like, and this person, I think that asked has been here, like been at Vanderbilt like 15 or 16 years. So it was just like, there was zero optimism, zero willingness to look at new things. It was just, well, we've tried this before. What makes you think it's going to work this time? Right. It's just, sometimes you just gotta be like, let's roll the dice and see what happens.
Yeah.
But also I think, especially in higher ed, I think not all of us, but a lot of times you get into blinders and you don't realize the things you do, how it impacts. Like, oh, if I write this document, does it really help or benefit anyone? And you're like, oh no, probably not. When it really does. Like, we get into kind of like that Office Space. It's like, if I help the business sell an extra 100 widgets, do I see any benefits from that? Like, and that I think we lose in higher ed is where we're benefiting. What we're doing, is it beneficial to us and the organization?
Yeah, and I know that's something that some of my newer and younger team members struggle with sometimes. It's not necessarily following the documentation. It's just like, there's a reason why we do things a certain way. So if you go out of band, you're in a sense setting a new precedent. And we all know that the faculty in the schools talk, and if they hear someone's getting one type of service that the other one's not, then it's like keeping up with the Joneses, right? Like, why is this person getting this and I'm not getting that? It's not that we don't want to do that for everyone. It's doing that at scale is going to be a really tough lift in a lot of cases.
Right.
It's not that trust me, it's for our faculty and administration friends that are listening to us, it's not that we don't want to do it. We want to give these faculty and students the world. It's just trying to figure out how to do it with limited staffing and limited budget. That's always going to be the biggest challenge.
Yeah. And I think it sounds like, and without, we don't need to agree or whatever, but I think the next year, this next fiscal year is going to prove to be a little bit more difficult for all of us in general, based on conversations that I've seen. I'm not going to say who, because I know we all have our own different challenges and stuff like that, but I think 23, 24 is we're going to need to be creative, and which we're all very good at. I know that we wouldn't be in the world that we're in if we weren't creative and be able to come up with some unique ideas.
It's just coming out of 2020 and all the pandemic stuff. It's like, how many more challenges do we really need to go through?
Right, exactly. It's like, all right, we did pandemic, check. And then we, at least in Rutgers' case, largest incoming freshman class. Okay, check. Then recession, let's go. Check.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't. So yeah, I would, although it was funny because we were looking at our numbers from like 7 years ago, and we had our budgets cut 7 years ago as well. So it's kind of weird how the cycle is kind of the same. And honestly, I don't particularly remember. I think we were short on students that year. I think we didn't quite hit our admission goals. So I think that's why 7 years ago that we had to kind of make some of those decisions. But then if you go 7 years back before that, that was the 2008 or 2009. So it's kind of weird how this is like every 7 years we're going through this. So let's just hold our breath and power through. So
Always find a way to make it work, though.
Yeah, we do.
Make it work nice.
So, well, thank you, Murphy. That was a great, as always, a great one.
It's funny watching you guys all look around like, what? Yeah, we should do that.
Yeah, we should.
It sounds great.
Guilty. It's like,
Yeah.
Troy, too late to get her on for a session at the HETMA conference next week, or I don't know.
Yeah.
I think we need to invite Murphy in for a systems analysis workshop.
About that, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll put you on the short list for 24, Murphy.
Yeah.
Hey, you might have a book. You may have a book to pitch then
Ready
too.
by then.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean,
There you go.
we do
Just-
pick the spotlights, the panels, right? So
That's
Mhm.
right.
So, and that's a great lead in right there, So Troy, I mean, we are coming into HETMA conference number 5.
yeah,
And this is, as I said in the beginning, we were doing this before it was cool. We've been utilizing Zoom and the chats and all that for all these years. And I think that's one of the things that us as higher ed folk really enjoy. We make fun that it's good to have in-person things and being able to go out for drinks and things like that. That's all fun. But HETMA, we just do things very uniquely, I think, right, Troy?
yeah. I totally agree. I think HETMA was built, kind of to be, kind of equitable, kind of fair to all, right? And one of the problems is not all universities have the same budget, right? So some of us can go to these conferences all across the country and, in Spain and things like that. And some of us can't, right? And, keeping our conference virtual, lets everybody go. And there's not really another way to do that.
And not only is it just virtual, it's free. So that's, as is your membership to HETMA. So,
that it really hits on one of the founding principles that Jill and I had when we were forming HETMA, was that it needed to be free and it needed to be equitable regardless of your institution, because we knew we would have private, public, community colleges, everything. And that was our goal, was to be able to offer a fantastic program to everybody for just the price of sitting in front of a computer for the day. And Troy does a fantastic job wrangling all of the cats to make this a success every year. So.
Well, I think that's where, so if you just for a second, Troy has the title of conference committee chair, but I think it's important to note, I don't think there's much committee. Troy does a huge, heavy lift to make this thing happen. That's kind of been amazing. So one, everyone listening, come on in and help out with that, because putting together this committee and really making this conference the best thing it can be is awesome. But two, we all owe a huge thanks to Troy for all that he does to make this event what it is, because if Troy wasn't there making it happen, it would fall down. And I've loved the HETMA conferences. They brought me into this organization. So that's a thank you on my part. And I am looking forward to the agenda that's up for next week, because there are great panels and great sessions coming.
Yeah, we have, we've been doing this in the beginning, and you don't register for the event. It's 3 days, but you don't have to come to all 3 days. You can pick and choose. That's the beauty. Don't think of it that you have to sit at your desk for 8 hours. You can. We'd love it if you did, but you don't have. We all know that that's the reality. Sorry, I don't know why I don't have this tonight. That's the reality. We are getting phone calls. We're getting things. I was supposed to go to a Panasonic event today. I had 2 engineers call out sick today. I couldn't get there. I had to email my rep and say, sorry, I can't get there. We know that's the reality of the business that we do. So, BC, you've, you were just saying that you were that was the original vision for HETMA, was to make everything equitable and free and accessible to everybody. Is this 5 years ago when you and Joe were over in Japan and you were talking about this? Is this where you saw us go? Is this where you saw us at this point?
I think we were ambitious that it would reach this point. I don't think that we knew that it was going to reach this point this fast. Like Joe likes to say, we slow rolled this as long as we could until basically it wouldn't let us slow roll it anymore. It took on a life of its own, and it's been very gratifying and very exciting to see how this organization has grown and helped others, and brought others together and really furthered a sense of community. So it was funny. I got placed under a new senior director not too long ago, and I had a meeting with him this week, and he was asking me, do I talk to my peers at other institutions? And I was like, why, yes, I do.
Almost exclusively.
Every single day I'm talking to one of my peers at another institution. So if nothing else, I think it really brings us as a vertical together, and in a special way. I think, and Ryan, I think kind of where I'm going to go with this is that when we were over at ISE a couple weeks ago, our counterparts over on that side of the pond don't necessarily have that same sense of community that we do over here. It's whenever we have events over here, I think last year we basically took over a restaurant inadvertently because everybody heard that's where we were, and they just came over. And it wasn't like that over in Spain with all the folks from different areas. So I think what we have here is really, really special, and it's been really great to see it grow.
I think that was one of my favorite things from InfoComm 21, the one in October was, towards the end, people were like, "Oh, you're from HETMA," because they saw the flags. It's like, "Oh, you're the HETMA guys, or you're the girls," and like that. It's like, yeah, that's us. So and then that just built into June. Like
Yeah.
when we came back for Vegas, like everybody was looking for us.
Yeah.
Like we had the HETMA approved awards out there, and like there was just more and more out there. I think that first info, which was also the October one, was my first Infocom. So not only was I getting the experience of Infocom, but I was also getting the experience of being a HETMA member, that we were being recognized for not only our presence at Infocom, but the work that we were doing.
Yeah.
And like, let me tell you, that put like a fire under my tail when I got back. So
Well, and I think that was the one that was really low in attendance.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So y'all
Mhm.
stuck out a little bit more, right? Because everybody was like, what is this HETMA thing? Like, I don't know. Attendance is down and it's not very busy, but everybody belongs to HETMA. What is this? It kind of was nice to have you guys all be there in good numbers, so I hope that helps recognition for definitely.
For whatever reason, our group showed up that year, and like
guys
a lot of
did,
us,
yeah.
and like you said, the flags were everywhere. And yeah,
Yeah.
I think that actually goes to a testament of HETMA and what BC and Joe started, and has been continued with
For sure.
the board, with Aaron and everyone else, is because yes, was higher ed folks there in a drove in October in Infocom? Yeah, we were a lot of people, but really, besides that, our manufacturer partners were champions for us. I know many, like there were tons of boobs who were like, "Give me a flag, I'll hand them out. I'll put them on my." They were telling people about HETMA, and we were still in that what BC would said slow rolling phase, and we had other people who were being our champion besides just us higher ed folks.
right now, just today, I've gotten, half a dozen emails from our, sponsors just asking me for, marketing materials and things like that, so they can help promote. I think our partners have been just incredible and are a huge part of our success.
And I think two things. One, BC, if anybody ever asks you if you talk to other people, just say, "I'm the godfather of HETMA. What do you think?" Say that first. But the other thing about it is HETMA is free, and and we talked about that. But the other thing is it's an individual membership. A lot of other organizations, if your institution doesn't want, like EDUCAUSE, you have to be your whole institution has to be. You can be the only one on your team that wants to be a member and wants to get involved, but you can as a single person and then grow that out. And so when we talk about like people coming out of the woodworks, it's because any person in any higher ed institution, large or small, wherever you are, you can be a full-fledged member of this org today, and we want you to be. And that's kind of why I think we see that wider community come together, because it involves people from all kinds of places, regardless of whether their institution cares if they're connected. They as an individual can be.
Yeah. And to bring this back to the virtual conference is, I think another thing, another thing that makes HETMA virtual conference unique is how we go about building it. Is we saw Infocom call for presenters, and I know other conferences have called for presenters. And then, there's a committee who picks out what's going to be said. HETMA, we go to our members and go, "What do you guys want to hear? What do you want to learn?" And then we find the SMEs in that field. And that's where our conference is built around. And another special thing, and I know I'm a big one for saying this, is that virtual conference is, we're not being, because we build our members are invested in it, they're not sitting there being talked to or talked at, let me say. they're engaged in the conversation. Like, I don't know how many times I saw someone come in a panel and they get to like the first slide and the conversation just goes off the rail and they like throw the slides out and we just have a conversation. We dive into the weeds. We get into the tech, the details of anything that we're talking about because people are invested, not just the presenters, but also the people in the audience.
You're absolutely right. I think that's one thing about our vertical and about our members is that we absolutely hate being talked at.
Yeah.
That will just completely make a lot of folks I know irrationally angry. So
Yeah. Like, cause I could go read up on your product. Like I could read whatever pamphlet you've got like that. That'll tell me the specs. That'll tell me like what it kind of, what you think it'll do. But let me talk to the systems engineer. Let me talk to the product engineer. Let me talk to that next level.
Yeah.
No offense to our sales reps who we love dearly, Renee.
We spent so long being treated like end users, and that's not what we are. So we take it personally when they treat us like that.
I think it would be cool if Infocom had like a test bench. Like, let's string a bunch of these things together. Let's do the thing. Let's do what we do.
Yeah.
That's what we do. We put it together and then we go, oh, okay, what happens when we do this? And come on, guys. Why are we there?
Make it or break it area.
Yeah.
Dude,
But
that
are
is
they-
a
Are
that
they
is a
bringing
level of
working
risk.
product? Or are they bringing boxes though? So
Well, Chris,
don't say
never
it.
mind.
But that's
Nothing.
a level of risk.
I
They don't,
wasn't
like,
gonna say anything.
they want to put stuff out there in the best light. If we were like, okay, yeah, give me that. I'm going to grab a couple of things from a couple of booths and we'll see if it works that way. Oh, that's
but that's
a real live thing.
that'd be a bold selling point.
that
then.
would be a
I'd
bold
buy
selling
that.
point.
There's some
Yes.
higher ed people that would make some Frankensteins in there. You know what I'm
That
saying?
sounds
Because
that sounds
that's
like
what we
something
live
HETMA
with.
should do.
We've got
I
this
love
thing
this
that, like,
idea.
yeah, like, okay, but can you do it with freaking VGA?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta have it, and this weird old kind of document camera.
I guarantee you we can do it.
Yeah.
I
figure it out.
guarantee you we can make it
We
happen.
can do anything.
Yeah. Anyway, I just like.
But
to
anyway,
see-
I like that.
to kind of steer back to the conference
Yeah.
a little bit.
Back to the conference.
We talked about like trade shows and stuff like Infocom, which are extremely valuable. Like they're great, but I think what I like, especially on our vendor spotlights, is where we actually talk to the vendor about application. Like, how does this work in our environment? Because that's one thing that always drives me a little crazy when we go on booth tours at trade shows, is that they say, well, here's this projector. It's 1,000 more lumens brighter than last year. And I'm sitting here going, I wish that projector would fall on my head so I don't have to hear about it being 1,000 more lumens brighter. I want to talk about how that works in my environment. I want to talk about what is my return on investment with it? How have you all improved the infrastructure of the device itself? And we actually get to kind of delve into those questions during our conferences, during those manufacturer spotlight panels.
No, BC really wants to know what the letter Q means in your product. Like, what does that signify in there? I'm really tied into that.
So for those higher ed people who are listening who may not have attended before, can you give them like a brief, not agenda, but kind of a rundown of?
Yeah, I was just saying, I was kind of gonna go next. Yeah, Troy, you want to kind of give them? We don't need to go like, minute by minute, but I know we have
to
topics
expect.
for each day. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're actually gonna release the agenda will go out tonight, on Twitter and all the socials and stuff. So I mean, basic premise is we do like a keynote, and then we do 3 sessions. The sessions have a panel, and then 2 sponsor spotlights from our manufacturers. The first day, it's kind of about technology, new tech, kind of stuff. We're going to do things on changing control systems and XR, AR, VR, and kind of past, present, future.
So Troy,
Right.
I'm sorry, I was saying goodbye to Murphy as she was. So
Oh,
we have a theme this year, don't we? Because we always have a theme.
Yeah, I think it's right there. So now what?
There it is. Yeah, you were in the way. So yeah, now what? So each of the days or like we kind of funnel into that theme in some way. So sorry, continue.
Yeah, so exactly. So like what's next for HETMA? That's the big one. Now what are we doing? We've kind of gotten our scholarship out there. We've gotten the approved program. It's been pretty successful. So what can we do next? What are we doing next? So that's going to be a good one. Day 2 is kind of more about like management, and I think that's something that we haven't maybe focused on quite as much at our conferences. And I mean, that's a big part of what we do, higher ed, AV management. So, and then our last day is DEI, which I think is one of, kind of the more important things that we do at HETMA. I think maybe wasn't the initial kind of primary focus, but I think really that's kind of what it's come to be. That's kind of what I see HETMA, its main focus is kind of, pushing that forward and, the higher ed vertical, but not just that, just in the AV industry in general. So.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think
So-
the makeup of the panels and the themes this year is awesome. The keynote on day 3 with Natalie Gillespie and Karen Ethier and Joey Lloyd from Avixa, like you wouldn't miss that session regardless of what conference you are at, and to have them speak to kind of our group and what that means in terms of hiring practices and diversity is awesome. And the instructional design one on day 2 is going to be fantastic because we have this cool thing of people that have worked in AV and have moved more towards instructional design, and Andy Vogel in particular has kind of a really unique view on that, where he speaks both languages, so he translates that to us. And instead of, sometimes you go to conferences and you're like, let me look at what's going on at this time. All right, I'll pick the least boring looking one. There's things in here that like that you'll hear something new, you'll get challenged in your thinking, but you'll hear it through the voices of people that understand what you do every day. And I think that's like, I'm really excited about it. It's going to be valuable. And I think whoever's going to be moderating that one about the future of control is really going to set it up, because we've got a couple of highly opinionated people in there, and I'm trying to get a grudge match going. So I'm hoping that one will be really entertaining.
I don't think it'll be that
that
hard.
would just happen to be Mr. Ryan Gray as the
what do
moderator
you
for
know?
that. So, my moderation doesn't come in until the next day, so I'm just that's so Ryan's moderating on Wednesday, the 22nd. I'm on the 23rd. But also I will be myself and Ryan are NBC are participating in the keynote on Wednesday morning. So that's you'll have the entire board right there in front of you to talk about everything.
And that's the best part. It's virtual because they can't throw anything at us.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll just hit their own computer screens if they try to.
Yes.
And it's free. I think it's really cool that you do that for free. And if somebody can jump on for just a couple of hours or a couple of the sessions or whatever, then they can come and go because you guys have crazy hectic lives. And
When everyone on my staff has, like, they can register and they can look and they can pay attention, even our student workers, right? We have a panel on
Right.
student worker programs. And so we have
Wow.
both managers of student workers and student workers from our institutions that are going to have that discussion. So it is free. They can register, they can tune in for any part. And of course, HETMA's free. The recordings of all these things will go up. And so if you miss one, you can tune into it anytime. So
And the
there's a lot of
community,
value.
the community is open now. We have the open
Mhm.
community, so it's not just for higher ed members anymore. So if you're a manufacturer, if you're an integrator, if you're just somebody who likes AV, come on and join the community.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like if you've tuned into a podcast called the AV Life, like hetma.org, go look and register and jump on in.
Yeah.
Like the conversations are great, the community is great, and come jump in the deep end.
I will say my favorite section is the AV After Dark section, because I feel like that's just where like just our brain bursts happen.
So Tim, you
Like-
put
like-
something in there I have never heard of, which is I hate 2x6 ceiling tiles the other night.
Yes.
I've never seen one in my life. And I thought if I ever saw a 2x6 ceiling tile, I would break it over my
They
knee
are-
and walk out
they
of the
are
room.
Awful.
does
And
that?
They
that's
are awful. You never see
architects
Architects.
do that.
Architects.
I know.
I've
No.
seen
Fancy architects. So let me tell you real quick. So yeah, this is the sort of content that you could find on the open community part.
Yeah.
So this morning I happened to be this is from this morning. This was Thursday morning. I was up in a room. I was trying to trace some wires because I had old drawings and I was trying to go through things, and I'm trying to get it up into the ceiling, and they're 2x6 ceiling tiles, 2 feet by 6 feet ceiling tiles. I am 6 feet. I am 6'4". So that is basically my entire wingspan trying to push up a ceiling tile.
I've seen 8-foot ceiling tiles.
No.
Oh God,
Like,
8
that-
Oh,
foot.
I've never seen
I
that
couldn't.
before.
I couldn't. Like 2x4,
That's not
fine.
okay.
Like 2x4 is standard, fine. 2x2 are immaculate and they're wonderful, and I
Yes.
would love to see that everywhere because also I'm a big fan of 2x2 speakers.
Yeah.
I love that I could just drop it in a ceiling tile,
Yeah.
it's a grid, and
Yeah.
just be done with it. But so this happened to be so it was a cloud formation ceiling.
Yeah.
So it was all
Mm.
suspended and not secured to
Yeah,
the sides.
I know.
And architecturally, it looks beautiful. It looks
Yep,
wonderful.
pretty.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But 6 feet crosses a lot of different things. It crosses electric. It crosses suspension for the lighting. So trying to find a tile that doesn't have anything to be able to get into the ceiling
No,
is
no.
damn near impossible. And
That
of
should
course,
be out.
yeah. And of course, the one junction box I need to get to is
Ugh.
over a table that I can't get the ladder close enough to because the grid doesn't allow me to get the it was a mess. And I was just,
That ceiling tile might have had an accident at some point during the
If the
troubleshooting process.
if the chancellor wasn't coming in 2 weeks, that might have happened.
I feel like the
Good point.
Geneva Convention should have outlawed stuff like that. That is cruel and unusual and should not exist.
No, it should not exist. So yeah, you know what? This is a call out to all of our architects that are out there, all of our facilities managers. Come out and join us at HETMA. Get an
Yeah.
idea of what our higher ed folk in technology are doing, because I know there are organizations for space planning and art and for facilities planning and things like that. They do a great job with their stuff, but come and see what it is from our perspective too. Your partners in construction projects, and my plea: bring us in at the beginning. Any project,
Please.
please,
Please.
please, please.
Please.
But anyway, sorry.
Okay.
Back to
You can derail your own show, Tim. It's okay.
I derailed my own show, yes. But it was related. So, you
Yes.
know, yeah. So our community is not just for us in higher ed. It is for everybody. So please come and join in on the conversation. And as BC said, we are covering everybody from the large public universities all the way to the community colleges. So
All inclusive.
please, if
Yeah.
you're in any of those groups, come and join us. And you know, I love being able to post something about product, like especially if I have questions about something or like I'm trying to tackle something. Between the HETMA and James's higher ed AVIT group on Slack, those two things, like I could get all the answers I could possibly want, and then some, and of course some sarcastic remarks along the way as well.
No,
No,
Never.
not this group.
never.
Never.
So like question for Troy, one, it feels like the kind of the population of manufacturers and kind of the reps from manufacturers, now that they're in the community and we have a little more interaction with them, like it's filled out pretty well this year, and some of those look like interesting places to drop into. How does the presence of a manufacturer work at a virtual conference versus the standard, I have a table in the lobby after an event, come by and see me.
So yeah, I think, I said this earlier, I think our partners are just kind of been so great for us. Yeah, so basically, they'll all have their sessions. The breakout rooms will remain, but they're not going to just be in there hanging out. They're going to be participating in the other sessions, and doing their thing. So, I think the cool thing about our manufacturer sessions is that they're not going to be selling things to you. They're not going to be talking at you, because like we said earlier, we don't really care for that. So they're going to be, when I talk to our manufacturer partners to set these up, we kind of say, find a solution that you can present to us, something that's kind of specific to higher ed, and then come with an engineer expecting to talk about technical things. I think, what I always like to say is I think this is just a really valuable time for both of us, because I don't have an opportunity often to talk to the manufacturers, to the engineers directly. And I think they don't often have a chance to talk to end users who also support end users, in-house integrators, as Mike Peterson likes to say. So it's just really valuable feedback. And I think also, an integrator, if they go to get feedback from the integrator, there's always going to be a selfish slant to what the feedback they give, right? Because the bottom line there, right? And there's not from me. I'll give you honest feedback, because all I want is a better product to support, my end users. It's a different experience. The students, they're paying us to display content to them. So we kind of want the content to look as good as it can be, as good as it can. So it's just great opportunity. Like you said, there's a lot. This year we limited the sponsors, and there was a few who unfortunately didn't sign up in time. So maybe we have to expand to a fourth day one of these years. We'll see.
So and I think, as a manufacturer who's helping support the event, we talked about it on a marketing call last month and then again this month, but I think even getting what you guys do, what you're doing for your community, what you're doing for just change, because there's a lot of manufacturers still that have that mentality that you're an end user to them, right? And so getting that out there and just explaining why you're a little bit different, right? Because you are not just buying a box, you're the whole kit and caboodle. So,
and I think
that's changed. I mean, I think from before HETMA to now, I think people are viewing us for what you are, and that's.
Go ahead, Ron.
I was just going to say,
user, right?
Mike talks about in-house integrators, right? But at my call, there is no room on our place that someone who works for us didn't wire everything, design, program from the ground up. I don't have any integrator built system on my campus, and that's a growing thing in higher ed. So I don't want to BC's point, I don't want tech specs. I can look those up, and kind of between kind of the HETMA lunch and learns that are getting started in this, but bring me a technical person, because we are tearing stuff down to what it can actually do. And the fact that that's been recognized and responded to is awesome. It makes these sorts of things valuable in a way that's otherwise, because we want the stuff we buy to work really well in the way we're doing it. And that's kind of the focus when we talk about these sessions, is how does it actually work in the environment we need it to work for, and what is the solution available?
Yeah, it goes back to, I think my philosophy is, I don't want just someone to sell me something. I want a relationship. Like, I want a partnership with them, especially with a manufacturer, because at the end of the day, I'm going to help you make money. If you build me a product that works fantastic, it solves all my needs, I am going to be the best product marketer you have, because whenever we're on our back channel communication, and manufacturers, we have a lot of back channel communications you guys aren't in on. I
Good.
will evangelize how great your product is. Likewise, if your product stinks on ice, I am not going to be shy about sharing that as well. So please talk with us, work with us. We can be your biggest ally or your worst nightmare in some
Mhm.
cases.
And that's the Godfather talking right there. He's not
You
messing
don't want to be
around.
on the naughty
You
part of
don't
the
wanna,
spec channel.
don't wanna mess with that.
Yeah, that's what I'm
I-
saying.
I've actually had this conversation with multiple manufacturers, and every time I say this to them, I get a very I want to say I would say a dirty look from them. And I look them square in the face and I go, I don't have brand loyalty. My loyalty is to my university and my students.
Mhm.
If your product meets the needs that I need and we can build a partnership like BC says, great. But the second you can't do that, then I'm looking to again provide education to my students. And that's where my loyalty is. And I have a lot of manufacturers who look at me and go, I don't like that answer. I go, I don't care. Be a partner for me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the ones who are a partner, I'll ride through a rough water with you if you're a good partner. But the ones who are not a good partner, those go to the wayside.
Right.
And like BC said, and that's another thing I always say to manufacturers too, is you look into higher ed, we have guarantee every year new customers who are seeing your brand logo. And every year we have customers who are leaving and going into the real world. We all know higher ed is not the real world. And they have a idea about products. You know, if they see a Sharp NEC display and now they have a good experience in their classroom and they're in a corporate boardroom, they might bring that brand name up in the meeting, say, hey, why don't we go this route? Or if they have a Crestron touch panel and the system's always being finicky, they may say, hey, we don't want to go Crestron. Or Crestron is the best in the classroom, and then that's what we want in a boardroom. So you can actually hurt or benefit yourself in corporate world through higher ed.
Mhm.
Oh.
Yeah.
And those are all examples. I'm not trying to badmouth any manufacturers or any sponsors. We love our sponsors,
Yep.
and all manufacturers have a good product one way or another.
Right. And I was to say, we have a whole list of manufacturers who have seen the value in being involved with higher ed, especially with HETMA. Folks like Crestron, Hudley, Panasonic, CDW, Bose, Sennheiser. Let's see, let's keep scrolling down. QSC, Epson, Aurora, Talum. Is it Talum? Is that I was
Talum
saying,
Talem 3.
Talum. Okay, sorry, I didn't want to pronounce that wrong. Neat, Sharp NEC, as
Yeah.
Renee has been a very strong supporter of us over the years.
Absolutely.
Biamp, Epiphan, Lumens, Yamaha. I think I got everybody. Yeah, I think I did. I'm going based off the schedule here. So
Tim, I got a question for you.
Yes.
Are you allowed to say the name of other podcasts on this podcast, or is that not allowed on the AV Live?
I have no trouble talking about other podcasts. So what do you got?
One of the sessions is a live recording of the AV Super Friends. And
they're part of the higher at av.com.
Hey,
That's
you
fine.
know, I don't know. I don't want to overstep anything around here.
That's fine.
Whatever
They're
it
good
takes
friends
for
of
me
ours.
to actually get on the air, I'm willing to do whatever that is. You know what I'm saying? No,
Oh yeah,
like,
because
but
Ryan's in that panel too.
no, but the point of that is like, the title they've got up is The Death of AV. And and there are AV departments that find themselves, you know, as part of IT and other things. And this is a topic that's been discussed and consternated, and who else to attack it but the AV Super Friends in that thing. So we have serious sessions and we have fun sessions also in there. So it's
yes.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
looking
so-
forward to each day.
I'm so looking forward to moderating the AV Super Friends session because it's mostly just like, hey, here's everyone on the AV Super Friends panel. Go. And I just get to
Yeah.
sit back and listen at that point. There's
No, I-
minimal work
I feel
again.
like I should go
Those guys are good.
break out my so when we did at last Infocom we did a HETMA t-shirt exchange for those who wanted
Yeah.
to like exchange. I got a Wyoming jersey from Chris Decker.
Nice.
Cool.
And I have had no reason to wear it. Number one, it's brown, which it's not really in my color palette. I'm sorry. But and it's a football jersey, and I'm not wearing a Wyoming football jersey to any Rutgers events. So I'm sorry, Chris. But I feel like I could wear it for their session there. So I have a
There we
reason
go.
to wear it. It's been sitting up on a hanger. I felt bad, like, because I want to wear it.
Well, now you've got a reason.
Yeah.
Friday,
It only took, almost a year to get me to wear it.
No, but I think BC, you should reserve the mute button for that session.
Oh,
So
no.
that when it goes off, you
No.
can just go mute and be like, "Oh my God, you guys don't know what you're talking about." Just stop
I
right now.
want it to, I thrive on chaos. I want it to go off the rails. I want it to be Thunderdome on a podcast.
he's gonna be chiming in just to egg him on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't tell them. But I was talking with Chris about some other things, and yeah, he put me in there. But like, that's my point too. Like, I think we can really stir that group up on that topic right there. It's gonna be great. It's gonna
I
be
can't wait.
great.
I can't wait. And
Yeah,
then
I-
immediately after is the happy hour. So we can
I feel like
take
you can
that.
start happy hour during that session and just
I
let it
feel like-
continue
Oh, yeah.
on down.
I was gonna say, I feel like they're expecting like a 2-drink minimum on that session. So
I have no doubt. Well, I'm excited
So-
for you guys. I'm sure it's going to be a great event, and I'm looking forward to the feedback and hearing how everything goes. So, can the manufacturers jump on?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
So
okay.
yeah,
make sure you go register to be
Okay.
there.
All right.
So
open registration.
HETMA.org. Go.
I'll make sure to do that. I might be free next week.
yeah. Troy, any final thoughts for our listeners, for who maybe like maybe we've got them like right on the cusp of registering? What do we do to reel them in?
I think happy hour, right? The happy hours they're presented by our platinum sponsors this year, Bose, Neat, and AVISPL. So those are going to be extra fun. I think typically it's Joe, Aaron, and I closing those things out. So I'd like to see a few more people drinking late into the evening with us. But-
Joe's in that group? What?
Well, Joe's in the after. To be fair though, he's in the afternoon when the rest of us are in like the evening.
That's fair.
So
That's fair.
just so he's just getting started while the rest of us are like like tonight. Like I'm ready to go to bed like as soon as we wrap this up. But actually, oh no, Ryan's the only one that's like kind of West Coast.
Yeah.
I'm West Coast.
James.
Oh, sorry, James.
Yeah, James
I'm
and I
sorry.
are in the
See,
same
I still
spot right
have you.
now.
I still have
still
you
has
in Jersey.
on you.
Yeah,
So
it's only
Troy,
been a
what's
year,
the
so
what's the record longest post HETMA conference happy hour? How long did it go?
I was probably about 8:30 or so,
ooh.
about three and a half hours or so.
Nice.
Was
Can
that-
we
was
beat
that
it?
when
Can
you
we
were-
beat it this year?
But we can try.
Let's
I think we
go.
push for like Fridays to be the longest, right? So-
It's
Yes.
always good to have a goal.
I'm in, man. I'm in. Let's go.
We may not record next week, so on Thursday. We'll see. All right. Well, BC, Troy, Ryan, thank you so much for joining us and representing HETMA. HETMA.org. Register for the conference. This is coming out on Monday, so you got 2 days to register before we start on Wednesday. So, and actually, you could even register as we go on. So, if for some reason you caught this later on, still register, still jump in, join us. So, and as always, Renee, James, thank you too so much, and thank you to Murphy. She had to duck off a little early. So, Folks, do what you need to sign up for HETMA. You don't miss out on all the fun and excitement. And until our next adventure.